What do most people get wrong when they start to plan this around their wealth and their future?
Sometimes they forget that eventually they're going to get old. And so I make sure that all my clients know about the opportunity to add a long-term care rider onto their life insurance policy. When you're 30 years old, you're not even thinking about the day you're going to be at a wheelchair, right? Mm-hmm. But eventually that's going to happen, and you guys are in great shape. Eventually, the longer we live, the more care we're going to need. Currently, 75% of the American population is going to need long-term care lasting at least 3 years. Mm-hmm. At some point, hopefully it's the end of your life.
All right. Welcome back to Remember You, the podcast where you reclaim who you were before the world told you who to be. Remember You. Welcome home. Today, we're joined by a really special guest, Mike Faloona, from the founder of Faloona Agency, a trusted guide in the world of financial protection, from legacy planning to life insurance strategy. Mike simplifies the complex so you can make confident, value-aligned decisions that protect what matters most. So, Mike, can you give us a short overview of who you are, why you're here today, and what you've seen in the world of financial protection?
Thanks, Christina. Again, my name is Mike Faloona. I've been in this industry for 40 years. Started back when I was a freshman in college. A family member was involved in the industry, introduced me to it, took away a lot of the misconceptions of the life insurance world. Finished my education at Illinois, getting a degree in economics, and went to work for the Prudential. At a very young age, I was their business marketing specialist and ran into a situation where I was presenting a plan that was not superior to another plan that this person was looking at. And I felt uncomfortable trying to, show something that wasn't superior. And at that point in time, after 3 years, I went independent, rolled the dice, and opened up my own agency. I'm real proud to say I've got over 38 life insurance markets that I can access. I've got every disability carrier in Illinois that I can access, and I've got 12 annuity carriers that I can access. So when I'm meeting with the clients, I was just speaking with somebody earlier, I'm never really in competition with another insurance advisor. I'm mostly in competition with that person's budget, their desire to get the life insurance as part of their program. By having access to all those carriers, nobody's ever going to come after me and say, I can give it to you at a better price, or here's a better plan. I was also sharing that premiums are actually mandated by the government. So whether you buy your life insurance from the internet or from a captive agent from a company or an independent insurance advisor, the price has to be exactly the same to the penny. So again, I don't have to really compete with somebody giving a better price like a lot of industries do. You're set. It's all your budget. And do you want to start getting life insurance as part of your insurance portfolio?
Cool.
Yeah.
So our listeners range anywhere from young, 15, 18 years old, all the way up to 70. So can you walk through the basics of why somebody would look to come to you from a very basic level of what is life insurance to the more complex situations that you deal with?
Oh, absolutely. But we did that with Michelle one day, where she kind of asked me a lot of questions about different types of life insurances. And that's what I do with people because it can be confusing. It's nice to have an insurance advisor that you can call, talk to, have coffee with. Any kind of insurance question, I get phone calls on that have nothing to do with maybe what they have with me, but something through work or some friend had a thing. Hey, if you heard about this, they know that they can call me because they've been trusting me for a long time. We've got clients that start their permanent insurance portfolios as soon as they get married. Some are on a tight budget, but they still have a baby and a house. So we use what we call term insurance, which is short-term protection to cover a new family. Once you can afford it, a permanent plan is always best. Protects you from having a health issue, which will stop you from getting insurance, which unfortunately happens all too often. It's the only bad things that I can share with you guys about my industry is people who waited and then had a health issue and the insurance went up or became unavailable. And that's really a sad situation to have. I have that going on right now with a person. I have a client right now who's contacted me because he's got a kid who's just finished junior high school. They were doing college visits. And he remembers we bought a permanent, what they call a variable life insurance policy. I'll share what that is in a second. And he got a decent amount of cash in there because he's had this contract for over 20 years. And he said, hey, Mike, I'm putting my plan together of how I'm going to pay. I'm looking for all my different monies. And I said, hey, this is why we got this. And the wonderful thing about a proper permanent life insurance plan is you can take money out of the contract without paying any taxes on it. And you're still going to earn interest on the money that the company loaned to you. Okay. And that's one of the beautiful things about the new life insurance that's out there. Everybody's talking about indexed universal life, right? IUL.
Yeah.
Really got hot in 2008 when the market went dramatically down. Back then, people want to be in the market, but they want to have a degree of protection.
Yes.
So that's where IULs come in. You put your money into the contract. Usually the S&P 500 index is the one that's used most often talked about. There are others that we can put monies in international. You can split it about. But just as an example, we use the S&P 500. And you put your money in there, and the company says, okay, you put it in, we promise to give you up to 10% of whatever the S&P 500 earns. That's what's called the cap. So you're capped at 10%. And you sit there going, hey, sure, if I earn 10%, I'd be pretty happy. The market makes 12, you get 10, carrier keeps the other 2. Okay. The beautiful part of it is you're giving that cap because there's also a floor. They promise that if the S&P 500 loses even 1%, you won't lose a penny. So you're getting that participation in the market, but you've got that floor that says, I'll never lose any money. Okay, these plans are often used as super Roths, where I have some employers that have maxed out their retirement plans and they're looking for other places to put money. So they'll use an IUL and they'll overfund it. And they'll be able to take the money out of it, very tax favored. When you take money out as a loan against a life insurance contract, it's not really your money. They're actually loaning you the money, using your money as collateral. Okay, and in a traditional contract, IUL included, they usually charge you 2 to 3% interest, but they take that collateral money and they put it into a fund that's guaranteed that exact 2 to 3. So you net out 0 on your loan. Okay. The IUL gives you the opportunity to do what they call a performance loan, where they'll charge you maybe 5%, but they'll keep your loaned money in the S&P 500. So if the S&P 5 does 5 or more, it was a good idea.
Yeah.
if it's not, and you don't look at it 1 year at a time, but for executive compensation, people who are overfunding it, looking to take money out of it, the performance loans are definitely the way they've been using it.
So essentially, people are getting an IUL so they're buying it to borrow against it, correct?
In certain situations, they're using it as a way to accumulate cash on a tax-deferred basis, because once you've maxed out your retirement plans, you're looking for other places sometimes to put money away for retirement on a tax-deferred basis. And the nice thing about using the IUL is, unlike my retirement plans, I can take money out of it without reporting it as income, right? My loan that I took out is not reported as income.
So like for people that maybe couldn't go to a bank at some certain point in their life, they can borrow against their own IUL.
I've had people borrow against their life insurance policies to help purchase a car because car rates were real high at one point in time. It was easier and cheaper to borrow off their life insurance policy. But so young people can do it. I encourage people to do it. It's not a fun purchase, let's say, because you don't get to take it home and play with it and give it to your kid and look at it, and have fun with it. But it does allow you to put your head on your pillow at night really safe, knowing that, A, I've got insurance protection, but not only that, I've got this asset that's growing, and I don't even really kind of know it's growing. It's all kind of behind the scenes. And all of a sudden I get this statement 10, 12 years down the road. I go, oh my God, where'd all this money come from?
And then the whole thing about IUL is when you borrow against it and you have, let's say, $1 million policy, it just reduces the death benefit, let's say, if you don't pay it back.
That's correct.
So that's a nice thing.
Yes.
You don't have to pay your loans back.
That was my next question. Thank you.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through like the example of your client who had the child who they took a life insurance policy, out on, and what that looked like and
That
how
was
they're
not,
going to use it?
I maybe misspoke. The policy was on the parent.
Oh,
Okay.
on the parent.
Yes.
Okay.
'Cause
Okay.
The parent, if the parent passes away, the fund has to be self-completing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Life insurance policies, I purchased life insurance policies on both of my children, what they call variable policies. An IUL has all those safeties and guarantees. A variable policy has no guarantees. You get to pick and choose which mutual funds out of dozens, if not hundreds, in that policy, and then you make or lose whatever the variable policy does. When I'm buying a policy on somebody who's 2 years old, I know I'm probably not going to be needing any of this cash for at least 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So where's the best place long term to put it is in some market with some risk. So that's what I did with both of my kids, and the cash value has grown, they're older now. And when they turned 18, the nice thing is these policies, they had a multiplier effect. It was like a $40,000 death benefit initially. And when they hit 18, it jumped to 60 with no change in premium. And I'm paying less than $200 a year on these policies. So it's not a premium that hurts you. People don't think about policies on their kids, but again, the reason is A, there's usually a nice little multiplier, and B, your 2-year-old is pretty healthy, pretty young. You never know what may or may not happen health-wise, so you're kind of ensuring their insurability as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they've got a nice little policy, and when they get older, you can actually give them their contract and change the ownership, and that pile of cash is there to use for cars or houses or kids or whatever they want to use it for. Okay?
And that's why people should be thinking earlier in age about getting life insurance instead of later when they will get sick.
The youngest,
could.
You'll never be younger and you'll never be healthier than today.
Mm-hmm.
Tell people. So if you're thinking about putting an insurance contract in your portfolio and you can afford it, don't procrastinate. It's so easy to procrastinate on sitting down with insurance, but it's not so bad, right? We had fun.
Yeah.
We sat down, had a charcuterie board. And
Fun with Michael. Oh, you bring cheese?
Go to lunch with Michael Faloona.
We went out.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people are also buying the IUL contract because at retirement time, you put your money away, you've got a nice portfolio going. But what if you are retiring in 2007, 2008, 2009 when the market took a dump? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, your retirement plans have completely changed. The philosophy is let's leave that money there and let it kind of bounce back, and I'll use my IUL cash value, and I'll borrow against that to fund my retirement until that comes back up. Because this one always went up or stayed zero. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Never a loss.
And so is there a net worth of people? What net worth is using this vehicle? Or does it matter?
It doesn't matter. Oh,
okay.
Everybody's using this vehicle.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what do most people get wrong when they start to plan this around their wealth and their future?
Sometimes they forget that eventually they're going to get old. And so I make sure that all my clients know about the opportunity to add a long-term care rider onto their life insurance policy. When you're 30 years old, you're not even thinking about the day you're going to be at a wheelchair, right? Mm-hmm. But eventually that's going to happen, and you guys are in great shape. Eventually, the longer we live, the more care we're going to need. And with modern medicine and everything that's going on, we're living much longer than we used to. So what we're able to do is put a little rider on these life insurance policies that it does this several jobs. It takes care of you while you're young in case something happens to you. Now maybe you need some money to help with the kids' education. And now maybe you need something to help with retirement. And if you didn't need all that, eventually you're going to need long-term care. Currently, 75% of the American population is going to need long-term care lasting at least 3 years. Mm-hmm. At some point, hopefully it's the end of your life. So now what we can do is we can add this rider that says, okay, you bought a $500,000 policy, $1 million, $100,000, whatever you had in your portfolio, and you can use 100% of that death benefit while you're still alive for long-term care needs, tax-free. Basically, you can use your death benefit while you're alive, tax-free, to help pay for assisted care at your house, assisted care at a facility, wherever it might be.
And there's certain criteria for that, right? So can you list those things?
Oh, you're going to make me remember. Yeah, there are 6 things that you're supposed to do every day all by yourself.
Okay.
And if your doctor says that you can't do 2 of those 6 things, you're eligible to use your death benefit for long-term care.
Oh.
And even if you could do all 6, if you have some kind of dementia, Alzheimer's, et cetera, you're allowed to use your money for long-term care. Okay. What are the 6? Let's see, there's bathing, continence, eating, dressing, toileting, and transferring. Transferring is like me getting up out of this chair and go to that chair all by myself. Okay. I can go to the bathroom by myself. We had somebody recently go on claim for long-term care because of really bad rheumatoid arthritis, trouble buttoning and trouble lifting up a pot. So they can't feed themselves and they can't dress themselves. They need assistance. That made them eligible for care. And again, it's by their doctor. There's not an insurance doctor that makes this decision. So I've talked about that to each and every client that I meet with. My card has lots of little letters after my name. And I was talking with Hope about it. I said, I'm I'm chartered life underwriter, chartered financial consultant, and I'm certified in long-term care planning. It's sort of like an accountant getting a CPA, maybe, or, just getting that extra education and continuing ed required to keep those designations. And I got real involved in long-term care because of a personal situation that happened with somebody that I did not know at the time that long-term care was not covered by your health insurance plan. And it wasn't covered by Medicare. I didn't even know that at the time. I was in my late 30s, early 40s, and got real involved in long-term care planning. And make sure that everybody understands it. For people who are 55, 60, 65, 70, those people, if they don't already have something, they have usually a little pile of cash, their what if money. So when I sit down with somebody that age, I say, if something happens to you, which is the first asset that you're going to use for care? And they'll point to a CD or an annuity or some one of their assets. And I'll say, hey, let's leverage that. And an example is I had a lady who had $100,000 on the side for her and her husband. What we did was we took $50,000 on her into a policy. We took $50,000 on him. And overnight created $150,000 in their long-term care bucket. Okay? So we originally only had 100. Now we've got 150 on each.
Nice. Because
of the tripling effect on these contracts that are available. The cool thing is if you never use the contract for long-term care, you get your $50,000 back plus a little bit of interest tax-free. So the kids will get your money back. It's usually in an asset that's not making 10% anyway.
Yeah.
So if you put 50 in and you never use it and you're getting back 55, usually the family's pretty happy with that.
That's cool. So like if they just have a savings account set up, then now you're getting them a little bit more than what the savings account or the money market would have made.
Yeah, 3 times.
Wow.
Got to qualify for it. Got to be in decent health. I found out just Friday that a client of mine did not get a long-term care contract that he's been kind of procrastinating on. We finally did it, and he was denied the contract. I don't know why yet. So I always try to remind people, do your planning while you're healthy, because life insurance, long-term care, disability insurance, it's not like a box of cereal where you can go buy it when you want. You have to qualify for it. You have to be in good health. And people take that for granted. We're all indestructible.
I wanted to transition from Index Universal Life. It's something that business owners can do, but also there are other things like buy-sell agreements. Can you explain that?
Sure. And I was the business marketing specialist when I was very young. So I got very versed in speaking with business owners. That's a lot of my day. When you have a partner or 2 partners, you want to make sure that should something happen to one of them, that you're able to take over that person's share of the business. You don't want the widow or widower of that person knocking on your door every month saying, where's my check? How's business? How's the marketing going? Yeah. Usually that person's spouse is not involved in the business. So you want to just give them a bunch of cash and say goodbye and give me your shares. And that's what a buy-sell does. It sets a very fair price for both of them or all 3 of the partners. Should something happen, that partner is purchased out. If nothing happens and now we're 65, 70 and we're deciding to retire and sell the business, we've got this beautiful asset that the business has been paying for I can now transfer over to me individually. I had a whole bunch. There's a little bit of a tax to the owner, transfer for value, but that's a little bit complicated. It's not horrible. The employer doesn't mind paying it because there's a big bunch of cash and a big death benefit that he now takes over or she takes over. Okay. If you don't have a buy-sell agreement written up and funded and something happens to one of those partners, you're in trouble. You've got to all of a sudden come up with cash. You've got to go to the bank and borrow money. It's very challenging when there's not an agreement in place. So I'm very involved in making sure that people reach out to their attorneys. It's not hard. It's not expensive to get those buy-sells written. We make sure they're updated or benchmarked every 5 years, and I do that for all my clients. If you have life insurance with me, every 5 years, I'm going to make sure that what we did was still working. There's not something better out there and something that's going to do a better job. Plus, it gives me a chance to have coffee and say hi. So we make sure that we benchmark, and the buy-sells usually have to be checked. We usually, if the buy-sell says you need to $500,000 today, we'll probably buy a little bit more initially because business is going to go up in value usually. We don't want to be buying life insurance every year. Let's get a little bit extra. If something happens to me, my wife gets a little extra, she'll be thrilled. So buy-sell agreements are tremendously important, as well as we use life insurance for key man contracts. Not as often as we used to, but when we have a business that has a person that runs everything, and I've got a couple where the owner is now thrilled because the owner can disappear for a week. And knowing that there's a person there that's going to run the ship and run the ship well that person's really valuable to keep. So what we do is we'll get a key person agreement on that person and say, hey, okay, if you stay with me for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, sometimes it's 20 years, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to buy an insurance contract on you that's going to have this guaranteed cash in it. So in 20 years, this cash is yours. Should something happen to you in those 20 years, that death benefit is for your wife. And if you become disabled, we've put a little disability waiver in here that premium that we were paying will go to you in cash on top of your other disability plan. Because again, another key person, I'm going to have a key person disability plan on you. That one's easy because he wants to make sure that if my key person is disabled, I don't have to come back to work full time. I can hire somebody. And where do I get that money? Disability policy on my key person. So, and that keeps him and her happy because they know that if they get disabled, they're still going to get a salary. And that gets very, very complicated as well. We had a seminar and I did a little presentation explaining to people how dramatically important salary continuation is. It's a very selfish purchase. It's the one insurance purchase that you make for yourself because you're still around and you need help and you need cash. Disability is the only way to get it.
And so everyone can get disability insurance.
As long as they can qualify. They still have to be in decent health.
So like a average person working a W-2 job, if let's say they can't work because they got injured, they can make sure they had disability insurance before.
60. We can go up to 60% of their salary before taxes.
Okay.
It still won't pay 100% of their bills. And right now they've got nothing. But even if a person's making $100,000 and their budget's based on $100,000, now they become disabled. If they have a good plan, they're going to get 60% or $60,000. It's still quite a drop in their income. So, but at least that $60,000 that they own will be tax free. So it gets close to taking care of their bills. They're much more now. If they didn't have a plan at all and they were used to $100,000, they're calling friends. They're doing GoFundMe's.
Right.
They're begging. You're seeing something at tailgaters. It's you don't want to have that obligation on other people. So disability insurance is between 1% and 3% of your salary. That's not an expensive proposition, and it protects me. So if I can't work, I know I can pay my bills. And so disability insurance is extraordinarily important. A lot of people will get. It was funny. We only had 3 or 4 people. We were a group of about 25 people. I think 4 people had long-term disability insurance where they work, okay. Which is nice. Better than nothing, right? Using the previous scenario, the person's making $100,000. If they get $60,000 from their employer-sponsored plan, that $60,000 is fully taxable. So now they're down to about $45,000. So what those people do is they can buy a very inexpensive supplement. Okay, I've got 60% from my employer. I want to insure that extra 20, 25% for myself so that if something happens to me, and we pray this is wasted premium, right? But if something does happen, and when I drive by the rehab centers and the outpatient, all the parking lots seem full. So I know stuff's happening.
Yeah.
To people. And I have people on claim. I unfortunately have a client I've known for 30 years. We've been on January the 24th, and he just bought out his partner. He was all excited, and we talked about doing some planning and getting the insurance and doing this and that. And he said, let's do it right after taxes. I want to get all that stuff done. And 8 weeks later, he had terrible pain, and turns out that he had a tumor on his kidney. Removed his whole kidney, and they found all kinds of cancer in there. He went to some clinic in Houston, and I got a phone call from his wife. What insurances do we have? So it's never, when you really when you need it, it's known it's there is wonderful. Beth calls me up. She goes, okay, what do I do? She's a wreck, so we'll help her fill out the paperwork. Mm-hmm. That's what we do for people. I mean, literally am their insurance advisor. So I help them with all the paperwork and get everything submitted and make sure they get their check. So they're thrilled because they're able to let him stay home, and they're still paying all their bills without taking money out of the company. Mm-hmm.
And that's what's so nice about these different policies. It helps people relieve their stress about money, right? So you're helping people with giving these different types of policies depending on their situation and their net worth and what they're capable of paying, because they can decide whether it's a good thing for them, and you can tell them what the different prices are. And then they can have a sense of security about money if something were to happen.
Without question. And it's not this price and that price. It's basically when I sit down with you and I want to put together an insurance portfolio. The first question I'm going to ask is, what budget do you want me to be at?
Mm-hmm. What if I have no idea what my budget should be? Do you help me with that?
Yes. Then it would be, okay, what do you think is a proper amount of life insurance on a person? We'll start a conversation that way.
Okay.
You think 10 million is too much? 10 million, 5 million, we'll just goof around a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you can say, hey, show me a price for $1 million. Show me a price for 2 million. Show me just for giggles. And I did that with somebody else here in the chamber. He was like, give me some different ideas. I'm not sure what I want to afford. Okay. But I don't want to sit down with somebody and show them a portfolio plan that's going to be way out of their budget.
Right.
And in 3 months, they're calling me or they're upset and it's hurting. Usually once you get something that the client agrees is a comfortable amount, mm-hmm. after 3 or 4 months, the client has absorbed it. That they don't even realize that it's out of their budget. Just like if you join a gym and it's $150 a month or whatever it is, after 3 or 4 months, it's like, okay, yeah, they took it out.
Yeah. Yeah. You get used to
You're
it.
trying to get used to it. Right. Yeah. And that's how we do 99% of our insurance plans are automatically taken out of it on a monthly basis right out of a checking account. The rest of them are annual. We don't let any of our clients pay quarterly because it's very expensive quarterly. Plus, it's the least persistent, meaning that people forget to pay it, and it's not. So we don't let clients do that, and we explain why, and they agree, especially when they hear it's too much money. But yeah, when it comes to the life insurance planning, it doesn't really matter what age you start at. It's the smartest to start as young as you possibly can. 16, 17, we're not going to be talking about portfolios, but once they get out of college, especially professional people, they'll dip their toe and they'll get a little $100,000 policy just to find out what it's about. And that's nice too, because I've got lots of clients, children, who have, we've started out just small, just get them started on something. And now they've got this little permanent plan, and then they get married and have a kid. And so, okay, now we need a lot of insurance, but my budget is this big now, Mike. Okay, but boom, we'll go with some term insurance. I did that for my son. We bought a little permanent policy on my son when he had his baby and had a bunch of term insurance. That's going to last him a level premium for 20 years. Okay. Because again, it's nice to have a lot of life insurance, but you don't need all that big life insurance perhaps your entire life. At some point in time, he'll have a different plan for long-term care. I've already made sure he's got disability insurance. So you want to make sure that all the steps are there. We've all seen that pyramid, I guess, of financial planning. Mm-hmm. One of them is insurance. It's not a fun thing to buy, but once you've got it, it's very comforting, like you said.
Correct. And then so for business owners, if they do buy, sell, or key man insurance policies, is that tax deduction or write-off for their business?
It's not.
It's not.
No, those policies are always purchased with after-tax dollars.
Okay.
That way the death benefit is paid out tax-free, and the cash value internally grows tax-deferred, and we remain the opportunity to take the money out via a loan. So you never will be find an opportunity to deduct the life insurance premium.
Okay.
All the other aspects of the life insurance are tax-favored, except you have to use after-tax dollars.
Okay.
Going back to the variable index, as well as, the disability and things like that, you're talking about taking out loans for these, because insurance is really creating peace of mind financially, right? And quality of life. What have you found pertaining to business owners taking out loans? What have they used them for beyond, say, purchase of vehicles? Are they issuing I don't know if it's a business loan, personal loan, or something to enhance them in some way, shape, or form? I come from the world of naturopathic medicine and functional medicine and things that aren't covered by traditional insurance plans. Could somebody put towards their healthy right now, they can access these funds. Could they put that money towards something that would improve their quality of life beyond a vehicle or property per se?
Okay. Well, we don't find business owners borrowing against their life insurance policies very often.
Sure.
Okay. They keep that cash there for retirement times. Okay. But when you take a loan against a life insurance policy, whether it's business or personal, the carrier they don't care what you do with that money. So you can use it for whatever purpose you wish. That loan is your money now, and you can go buy lottery tickets.
Got it.
So if someone's going through a struggle in their business or even in their maybe home situation with their property, they could just borrow the amount they need.
Yes.
And use that for whatever they want.
Correct.
Okay. And that's the security. And that's because no one's going to know when they're going to have a struggle with money in their business or personal, wherever, and they're going to need that money. Even I've heard of people that do have businesses or want to start a business that can borrow and have the capability of doing that with a policy like this. And then some people have large amounts of money that need to figure out what to do with it. And this is a vehicle because they know it's something they can borrow against. If we were to, let's say, put all our money in an IRA and over a certain period of time, when you're taking that out, you're paying taxes on it. This is a whole different way to handle putting money into an investment. This is an insurance policy, but you can borrow against it. And it's a different way to handle money and how you receive it.
A properly designed permanent life insurance contract. I say permanent life insurance because there's really two types of life insurance. There's term insurance, which you pay a smaller fee for, and it lasts for a stated number of years. Then it's gone. And then you have permanent insurance, which has various policies underneath their umbrella. They have variable life insurance, which we spoke about. We have traditional whole life insurance. We have universal life insurance, which is like a 1-year CD type of a contract. We now have indexed universal life insurance, which allows you to participate in the market, but gives you that floor. Okay? So when I'm sitting with a client, I try to figure out which one is the best. Sometimes for business owners, there are a couple of carriers that have cash-rich, permanent whole life policies. And those are used primarily for key man and for buy-sells, where they're willing to pay a little extra premium, but this cash grows like gangbusters right away. Okay. So traditional whole life, believe it or not, pays off really well if you look at it as a long-term investment. You'll get about 4.5% to 5.5% growth on a whole life contract with all guarantees. But now we don't have, but that's going to be a little bit more expensive premium-wise. We don't have to do that anymore if you're okay with an IUL contract sometimes I'll earn 0, sometimes I'll earn the cap, sometimes I'll be in between. I'll be very happy with the 10% if I get that. And as long as I don't lose any money, because some of us remember 2008 way too well. And those of you who don't, you never want to experience it because it took almost 10 years for anybody's account to get back after that 40% loss. And you have to remember when you have that kind of a loss, we're all kind of back up, but it took a long time versus if you compare to an IUL, We had zero loss that year. All they did was participate in all the gains that came after the nightmare. So it was a very big time for IULs. And that's when they really got popular, was right after 2008. Because people still want to participate in the market. Variable life insurance took that hit hard, okay? But IULs did not. Whole life did not, okay? So it depended on what market you wanted to be in. And that's why IULs got so popular, because it was like, okay, I can participate. Hey, my cap is 10. I can live with 10. If it earns 20, well, I'm still happy with 10. But when it goes down 12, I don't lose a penny. When it goes down 40, I don't lose a penny. So that's why they've become very popular ways. And you can overfund them, which is great. And now you've got these performance loans where I've got some people who want to make sure that they don't start their Social Security until they're 70. Let that 8% bump go. So rather than hit their Social Security early, they'll use their IUL money, cash value. Okay? So that pot of money is sitting there helping at retirement time. A proper life insurance policy does lots of different jobs. It takes care of my death benefit while I'm young. Like I said, now it's taking care of my kids. Now it's taking care of my retirement gaps. And now it's taking care of my long-term care as long as I have that rider on my long-term care plan. Or I can use my death benefit now when I'm 85, 90 years old while I'm still living and take that burden off my family. So that's what a nice permanent contract can do for you. And you get it, the younger you get it, the least expensive it will be. There are several different rating classifications for life insurance. We have super preferred, standards, and then you go class A through J. It's okay. And I've got some clients who are bad diabetics who are a little overweight, and they dip into that alphabet side. Okay. And when you dip too far into the alphabet side, you're not eligible for the long-term care rider.
So would you recommend, say there's a couple that has just had a baby, they each have their own life insurance. Sounds like a mix between an IUL and term. And then what about the baby? Would you recommend taking an insurance policy out for the baby?
If they can afford it. They want to do it and they understand it. Like I said, I did it on both of my children. It was less than $200 a year, so a parent's never going to miss it. You hate to think of it, but unfortunately, children do pass away in this world, I guess, so that would be a way to help cover those costs. But more than likely, you're just trying to ensure their insurability. Now, as they get older, my kids had a policy, was 40, now it's 60. It's actually grown more because the death benefit in this contract goes up with the investment fund.
And is that the IUL?
That's the variable policies.
Yeah. And then what about
IULs weren't alive back then.
Valid. What about the whole life insurance? Would you say do that, and then that way, as they grow and they go to college, they can borrow against their own insurance policy, or is that not something?
We would get an IUL on them.
IUL.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
And when
or a variable policy, candidly, because as I said, they're not going to be needing it for 15, 20 years. So we can kind of maybe live out those ups and downs. But my client who's 55, I actually spoke to Michelle about him, 55, 56, he's maxed out his retirement stuff elsewhere. And so we're using an IUL for him because if we have a big dip, he's only got maybe 10 years. A kid who's maybe 1, we got plenty of time to live out those ups and downs. So the variable contract will at least be introduced to the parent from me and explain to them why this may be a better solution. Understanding there will be times where there will be a downside. Don't freak out. And if you do freak out ever, then you go IUL. So you never have a freak out moment.
Right.
And that's for people who don't have a lot of experience in the market. They don't like to see downs. And so we'll use IULs that have that floor so that they never have to worry about seeing red numbers.
And when you say their insurability, it's because a child would have a better rate, a better premium because they're healthy or considered healthy at the time of the policy. So you'll have a lower premium you're paying, and then you can have a good policy on them. And then, is that correct?
Yeah, like I said, mine were $40,000 life insurance policies on my kid. It jumped to $60,000, and I pay $200 a year.
Amazing.
You don't even miss $200.
Right.
You do, but you don't. But
it's your Starbucks bill for the
for the month. For the month.
So I don't miss it. I still actually pay the premium because it still comes to my house. It's $200, So that would be the reason why you'd get a policy on a child, because it's rare, but I know of people, the child gets ill or diagnosed with something at the age of 3 or 4 or 5.
Mhm.
And then now it's going to be more challenging to get life insurance on a child. So it's never easy. Like you said, 2 they're pretty rubber stamped through unless there's some kind of a major issue.
And then, but if a parent's getting their policy on their child, they can, and it's an IUL, let's say, they can borrow against that policy, right? So over time, does
on the child? Sure.
Yeah.
Well, until that child reaches 21, the parent is the owner of that contract.
So they can be borrowing against it, correct? And that policy would have.
Yeah, and there's some. Yeah, there's some. I mean, I'm putting $200 a year into it. It's not lighting the world on fire.
Okay.
But it's got some cash in it. The cash that I'm going to utilize is the cash that's in my contract that I bought on my policy.
Okay.
So when my kids went to school, I had a policy. I had a $1 million permanent policy and took some money out of that.
I see.
Because they went to school, right after hell broke loose.
Yeah.
So what if
you were way down and you're like, what do I do?
So you wouldn't choose to maybe do that for your child's policy, maybe put more upfront?
No, I would still say do the child. Just don't rely on that policy for the education funding.
Because it's not going to be enough.
It's not going to be. It might do one semester.
There's no way to make it enough.
Oh, sure. But
Front load it with money.
Sure.
You could?
You could.
Okay.
Yeah, there are federal laws on how much extra cash you can put into a life insurance policy. Okay? It's a ratio between the death benefit and the cash. Okay, and the premium that's going into it on a yearly basis. They call it a modified endowment contract. So if I'm allowed to put in $50,000 a year max, but I put in 70, I immediately lose all of the tax advantages I had with that life insurance policy. And the insurance company will put up all kinds of red flags and say, we don't want your 20,000 extra. So there are certain limits based on the death benefit. So we don't want to put, big ton. If we're going to overfund it, normally I got extra cash, overfund one of the parents' policies.
I see. Okay. Good to know.
Because kid's probably going to, get a scholarship. You don't want to waste it.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
They're expensive, these colleges.
All right. So it's kind of like quick simplifying. I think we went through most of these, but what is a cash value of life insurance and who's it really for?
Sure. Well, it has been talked about a little bit today. The cash value is part of the permanent life insurance policy. Basically, a permanent life insurance policy levels out your life insurance premiums from today until the day they expect you to die. Mm-hmm. But term insurance is locked for 10 years or 20 years. This one's for maybe 50, 60 years. So they're leveling out that premium, and they've got more upfront in premium than they really need right up front. And that's where that whole cash value comes into play. So the extra money goes into the cash value account. Then you pick, how do I want to invest that cash? Do I want to be risky and have some risk and go straight into a variable policy and go straight into mutual funds and live with the ups and downs? Do I want to ups but no downs and go into an indexed universal life contract, which gives me a cap, usually around 10% of whatever the market makes, with a floor guaranteeing me I'll never lose any money? Okay. Or do I want to pay a little extra premium, have a little more guarantees, and really drive up the cash, and that way I can use a permanent whole life insurance policy, and we use those primarily for business purposes. Individual persons, the premium is lower with IUL. Mm-hmm. Okay, because there's not guaranteed cash, right? It's based on the market. So the premium is lower, and people appreciate that. Plus, they appreciate the fact that they're in the market. They can see that year, did they make money? Did they lose money? Okay, or stay the same, I should say. So that policy has become very, very popular.
Got it. Okay. And I'm not going to ask you this one because we already went through. So what should every business owner know about buy-sell agreements and key person insurance? We touched on it, but what is the key points?
Key point is if you don't have a drafted buy-sell agreement, contact your attorney. Mm-hmm. It's not expensive. It's kind of boilerplate-ish. They will meet with you. The biggest problem with you persons getting started with your buy-sell will be evaluating your business because most people haven't done an evaluation in quite some time.
Okay.
So that's
good point.
Going to be the biggest thing you want to say.
Or ever.
Yeah.
Or ever. Sometimes they don't value it. They say, hey, look, you and I are partners. How much do you think you could? and literally, and they'll go, I want at least $2 million. Okay, fine.
Okay.
And we'll do $2 million. And the attorneys will draft it at $2 million, or they'll put a formula in that gets us close to that $2 million mark.
Okay.
And we'll look at that, leave it there for 5 years, and we'll say, you guys still happy with 2?
Yeah.
No, I want 3. Okay. Are you still insurable? Okay, let's go.
And so is that mostly then used for, so it's partnerships within a company,
Yes.
but your key man, is that like you don't really have long-term incentives set up? You don't, this would be like in lieu of a long-term incentive program for your executives, or is it in conjunction?
If I have a key executive or key person or key manager, some person that I need walking in that door every day, I will take the opportunity to put a special little package together for them. We call it a deferred compensation plan or an executive compensation plan. The deferred comp is what it was called forever and ever. And so that's that product where I said, okay, Justin's my key guy. I know he's going to be here every morning. I'm able to go down to Florida for a little while and be late, et cetera, boy. And I don't want somebody stealing him because he's so good. So I give him a good salary, but still somebody could come in with better salary. So I give him a promise that, and they often call this golden handcuffs. Golden handcuffs, where you don't get it today, but you get it in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And that's where we promise, guaranteed, this amount of cash will be yours. We promise this death benefit will go to your family. And we promise this extra money will go to you if you become disabled. As long as you stay with me. And in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, ownership goes to you. But if you leave early, you get none of it. I get to retain everything. Okay? That's what a key person, deferred comp, executive comp is I'm doing something very specific for one individual. Okay? Another program that I do is executive disability plans, where I've got a 25-person group where we've got disability insurance on 4 key people. Okay, special above and beyond everything else that we have as a group. Special disability just for these people. And they know how much this costs.
Right.
And they know how difficult it is to get because there's not a lot of disability carriers out there anymore. I think there's 6, and I got contracts. I was
going to say, is there a handful? Yeah.
Well, when it comes to disability, everybody left the market. But we've got all the 6 big ones.
Okay.
So when we need disability, I quote all of them and nice little spreadsheet. Here's A, B, C, D, E. Which one is best? Which one do you want? This one's got this rider that might be important to you. This one has this. So we kind of go through those various carriers. And pricing is usually within a ballpark. So it's what's the most important part of the contract. It takes a little time to do. So that's really nice. But when we get that all done, that person knows that it's going to be very hard for them to get that disability insurance policy out in the marketplace.
Yep.
And they know that the employer is paying this for them. So supplemental disability, executive disability plans really help tie a key person to a business.
So as a business owner, it would be great to sit down with you and really start planning for how do I keep my key players? What's the best perks that I can offer them as a total package?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do that a lot. Yes.
Perfect.
And so it's key man insurance, though, is protecting the business, correct?
It's protecting the business owner from that key person leaving.
Yes.
Okay. The key person's still valuable. The key person's still going to get their nice salary and all the perks of being that key person.
Yeah, but if they leave, then the business is still protected because they'll have that insurance coverage.
Yes.
Because that key person could be bringing in a lot for that business. And then if they lose them, the business is probably...
The cash value could be used to help find it and employ a new person, replacement for that person.
That's right.
And the other thing, too, is the company knows they're never going to lose money on a key person contract because at some point in the time that person is going to pass away. And oftentimes what we'll do is, I don't want to get too complicated, but we'll do what they call a split dollar type of an arrangement where if I'm paying $25,000 a year for that policy, picking just an easy number to round up, okay, and I've paid on it for 10 years and he passes away, or 20 years or 30 years, whenever it is, there's a provision there that I will get my premiums back as a business owner, and then his family get all the rest.
Got it.
Okay, don't have to do that, but a lot of business owners will do that because if I needed $500,000, I'll get a $600,000 contract so that I can do the split,
right? Yeah,
and get my money back.
Makes sense.
So long term, an employer is never out his money or her money. The key employee is super happy because they've got a package, usually a small business that you don't see small businesses giving. So everybody's very happy. And you get more productivity. That person is more likely to attract and bring in other people in because they got a great second in charge.
Yeah, it's like all employer branding. It starts there. It's It's just at the root of it all.
And when we're meeting with them, I've been in the employee benefit business for 30 years before the Affordable Care Act. So we used to have 30 health insurance companies. And it was a lot of paperwork, a lot of nightmare. Now, basically, there's 4,
Right.
if there are 4. Okay. So every year, I go out and quote health insurance for all my business owners to make sure we've got the best group coverage. We make sure we're offering workplace benefits now. A lot. That's really becoming popular.
Yeah, it's total rewards. It's the new thing.
Yeah. They're very inexpensive. They're strictly voluntary. You can only buy them through your employer-sponsored plan. And these are those plans that give you a big chunk of money if you get cancer or you have a critical illness or you have an accident. The gentleman who had the kidney, he had the kidney removed. He had one of these plans and got a check for $10,000
Nice.
from his plan to help with. He's actually used it to help fly to Houston to the special place. So those plans are very inexpensive. They're portable and they're becoming very popular because not a lot of people have disability insurance through work. They don't get disability insurance individually. So at least they can have something like this where they can get a lump sum check.
What is something? Yeah.
So I show that to the employers as well. Dental insurance is still a very popular. It's funny when people have dental insurance through their employer, they feel like they've got a special benefit.
Yeah, it's true.
It truly is. And I don't get it because it's not the best benefit. Disability is more important.
Yeah,
than dental.
yeah, it's true.
But when they have dental, they just think it's the best benefit that there is. And it's not an expensive benefit.
Yeah.
If the employer usually splits it 50-50, it's like $20 each.
So it's perfect.
It's not, and so now they've got dental insurance. Feel real good about it.
So quick rapid fire. Just is this a myth or is it the truth? And you can say like debunk it or explain it, right? So life insurance is only about death.
False. We've talked about all the cash value plans that are available and all the different things that you can do with the cash that's in those contracts and how you can leverage the cash that's in those contracts to use all through your life. So definitely not. But again, being a life insurance policy, the death benefit is the primary reason that we are getting it, right? And we know that that death benefit is going to be 100% tax-free.
Perfect. Only the ultra wealthy need legacy planning.
Define legacy.
That's a good question.
I have people who are definitely, 7-figure people, and they've done some legacy planning per se with a second to die life insurance contract put into their irrevocable trust. Okay. And what that is Michelle and I are married. We buy policy on both of us, and the policy doesn't pay out until the second one of us dies.
Oh.
When the second one of us passes away, it goes straight into the trust, and usually that trust is designed for grandchildren.
Right.
Traditionally, okay? I have people who do that same planning with $100,000.
Cool.
I mean, college education is like unbelievably expensive, and no matter how successful my kids are, I'm still going to be a burden to put kids through college. So if I can help with that portion, that will be nice. And most of the grandparents that I speak with say the same thing.
Yes.
That's the one thing. They like their kids, but they adore their grandchildren. And so they'll do a lot more for their grandchildren. So they may or may not have had something set up. I had one client who was going to start putting money into a 529 plan, a few $1,000s. Yep. I said, what if I can put it into a life insurance contract and do so many different things and grow it so much faster?
Yeah.
And if you pass away, it's self-completing.
Yes.
And rather than put a few thousand into that, he put it into an insurance contract. And it's not a big death benefit, but it's legacy planning still. I mean, it's still something that, boy, somebody left me 100 G's, I'd be thrilled.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
So it doesn't have to be huge to be a legacy is what I guess I'm saying.
All right. And you just pretty much answered this through the whole thing, but we'll just truth or myth. You don't need this if you're young and healthy.
You do need it. Because you're not always going to be young and healthy. At some point in time, if you're 25 and 30 and you're young and healthy and you're thinking about it and your budget can afford it, get started. Because now you're 40 and you got toddlers running around, you go, crud, I didn't get started on this. And now it's more expensive. And now I've gained a little weight. And now maybe my sugar's a little high and it's going to cost me more money. And So It's always best to do it when you're young and healthy. Just start the planning.
This stuff is too complicated for entrepreneurs.
That's why I'm here.
Perfect. And that leads us into my next question around how do we get in contact with you?
Sure. You can call us at our office. That phone number is 708-444-2400. Or you can reach out to me at mike@FaloonaAgency.com. That's F like Frank, ALOONAAGENCY. Be glad to reach out to you, have coffee. If you've got insurance and you're confused about it, give me a call. I'll sit down and help you benchmark it. If you're wanting to get something started and didn't know where to go, again, we've got over 30 years of experience. I should say 40, but that makes me sound too old. The agency was started in 92. That's when I got my first employee. So we'll say that.
Okay.
But yeah, Mike at FaloonaAgency.com. Be glad to reach out to you and go over whatever you need to talk about.
And we'll put that all in the show notes for everybody. So thank you very much for your time. And thank you for being part of Remember You, where we have a listener base trying to remember who they are. So we appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.